Our story begins in the city of Daegu in 1979 with four girls dancing together. Suddenly, the mother of one of them bursts in angrily and starts hitting them, scolding them for skipping their studies to dance. The girls run away laughing and screaming. The next day, they chat excitedly about the boys they're going to meet, imagining what they might look like. One of them warns, "Don't get too excited. Every time we do, we end up disappointed." Still, they decide to sneak out of school to meet the boys. When they finally meet them, the main girl isn't impressed. Unlike her friends who are thrilled, the boys suggest that they pair off one-on-one to get to know each other better. They draw names randomly from pieces of paper. Each girl takes one with a boy's name on it. The heroine silently prays she doesn't get the boy with glasses, who's been staring at her weirdly since the beginning. She even thinks he looks like a fish. But of course, fate pairs her with him. Frustrated but polite, she sits with him so she doesn't embarrass him. He shyly introduces himself as Dong, barely able to speak. She's totally uninterested, replying out of courtesy. Suddenly, they see the school security guard coming after them. The school found out they ran away. They sprint away. And when they reach the street, Dong hides her behind some junk. The guard suspects something and tries to check behind the pile. Dong quickly grabs the heroine, pretending he's just holding onto the junk and insists there's nothing there. A student then distracts the guard, saying she saw the girls running the other way. So the guard leaves. As soon as she's gone, the heroine slaps Dong for touching her, even though he was helping. He nervously apologizes and asks if she'll go out with him again, but she rejects him instantly. Then we meet the heroine's father, a proud tailor who constantly brags about his achievements, so much that his employees have memorized his speeches. He's bossy and arrogant, accusing the maintenance man of breaking machines on purpose to make extra repair money. Meanwhile, the heroine is upset because her father always favors her twin brother. He tells her, "Your brother will carry the family name. You'll just get married." After he leaves, she mocks her brother. "So you're the one who'll carry the family name, huh?" And hits him in anger before storming into her room. Her maid follows her, bringing food to cheer her up. The heroine smiles, saying, "You're the only person in this house I actually like," showing how close they are. The next day at school, the teacher calls her to solve a math problem, but she can't. Her friend tries to whisper the answer, and the teacher catches them. The heroine gets punished with a cane for not knowing the answer. Later, during gym practice, she and her friends get distracted talking and cause the whole class to be punished. A girl blames her angrily and hits her, calling her stupid. But our heroine isn't one to take it quietly. She hits her back. The teacher catches them both and punishes them again. Afterward, while walking, she runs into Dong again. He tries to talk, but she ignores him. Later, in the bathroom with her friend, the same angry girl shows up, this time with her scary-looking gang, clearly out for revenge. But our heroine fights back like a ninja, punches the girl, and runs away. She hides in a classroom, but the door handle breaks, typical of her bad luck. As she struggles to hold the door shut, someone suddenly helps her push from the other side. She turns, surprised. Where did he come from? Then the boy opens the door, hides her behind him, and tells the gang, "There's no one else here." They don't believe him, but leave anyway, partly because they all like him. And that's when we finally meet our male lead, the most popular boy in school, the one half the girls have a crush on. After the bullies leave, he tells her she's brave for standing up to those three monsters. They walk off, stealing glances at each other. It's love at first sight. From then on, the heroine sees him everywhere, even imagining the PE teacher looks like him and giggling to herself. Her friends, of course, notice immediately and start digging up info about him. They find out he studies in a distant library, avoiding girls who keep bothering him. He starts studying at school again, and the next day, the heroine goes to the same library where he studies. The library has mixed sections and girls-only sections, but when she tries to buy a ticket, she finds that the mixed-area tickets are sold out. She gets really annoyed and doesn't know what to do. At that moment, she spots Dong, who happens to have an extra ticket. She smiles slyly and thinks, "Problem solved." She pretends to be friendly and sweet to trick him into giving her his ticket, and because he's such a kind guy, he does. She enters the library pretending she's there to study, but keeps secretly staring at the main boy from afar. Eventually, she gets bored. Watching him from a distance isn't enough, so she decides to go talk to him. But when she walks up, she's shocked to find Dong sitting in his place. Furious, she yells at him and storms off. Later, she's riding her bike behind the boy, when suddenly a car hits her, knocking her down and injuring her leg. When she looks up, she sees him standing right in front of her, worried. The driver rushes over with his daughter, apologizing and insisting on taking her to the hospital. But the heroine isn't even paying attention. She's too busy staring dreamily at the boy. Then he kneels down and says he'll carry her himself because she can't walk. She's over the moon, thinking she's dreaming as he lifts her in his arms. Both he and the driver's daughter look at her awkwardly as she blushes. They take her to a pharmacy, treat her wound, and after saying goodbye to the little girl, the boy walks her home. On the way, her brother sees them together and is about to yell at her until he realizes who the boy is. Instantly, he goes quiet, and the boy can't help but laugh at her brother's dramatic face. Before leaving, he tells her, "Try not to chase after me next time. You might fall again." She's shocked that he knows she'd been following him. The next day, she's on her way home and notices a moving truck next door. It turns out to be the same man who hit her and his daughter. That night, she can't sleep, thinking about the boy nonstop. She sighs to herself, "This must be serious." The following day, she tells her friends what happened. They warn her not to get carried away, saying he's arrogant and cold, that he doesn't care about anyone. They even tell her a story about a girl who used to follow him. When she fell, he just told her, "Be careful," and walked away without helping, even though she was badly hurt. The heroine defends him. "Come on, that's unfair. At least he told her to be careful." Then, the girl who hit her with the car, along with her father, appears at school. The teacher praises her for her excellent grades, saying not everyone is like the failing students, clearly referring to the heroine and her friend who are being punished again. The new girl smiles kindly and even asks the teacher to let them sit down, then introduces herself as Yoon. After class, the girls gossip about Yoon, saying how beautiful her skin is and how perfect she looks. The heroine feels jealous but hides it. Yoon approaches her, asking how she's feeling now, and offers her hand to make peace. But the heroine, still jealous, ignores her and walks away, embarrassed. After school, all the boys crowd around Yoon, eager to talk to her, which makes the heroine even more irritated. "What's so special about her anyway?" she mutters. Later, the main boy sees Yoon walking and recognizes her. She's the girl he saw yesterday when he carried the heroine to the pharmacy. He introduces himself and gives her his phone number, saying she can call him anytime if she needs help with studying. It's clear he's just looking for an excuse to get to know her. Looks like we're heading toward a one-sided love story. A maintenance worker named Kim spots them together but doesn't pay much attention and walks away. The next day at school, the heroine gets annoyed hearing everyone praise Yoon like they've never seen a pretty girl before. She snaps and tells them to stop talking about her. Suddenly, she hears Yoon's voice over the school radio. Curious and irritated, she peeks into the broadcasting room and almost goes in to yank her by the hair, but restrains herself. Later, both of them get punished in gym class for wearing uniforms that don't match the others. Yoon takes this chance to talk to the heroine, and the heroine begins to warm up to her, even starts liking her personality. It shows when she helps Yoon by holding her clothes because Yoon says she can't run properly. But suddenly, without warning, Yoon switches back, giving her the cold shoulder and walking away, leaving the heroine confused and hurt. Later, we see Yoon trying to chat with Kim, the maintenance worker, to make friends and not feel lonely. But she notices he's quiet and doesn't like to talk much. Just then, a piece of wood is about to fall on her, and Kim quickly jumps in, shielding her with his body so it hits him instead. Yoon thanks him sincerely for saving her and later takes his little sister to play with while he finishes work. Meanwhile, the heroine is practicing hard for her school radio audition, hoping to get attention like Yoon. Suddenly, as she's practicing alone, her brother appears out of nowhere, like a ghost, standing right beside her. She gets startled and hits her brother on the head with a book. He laughs and teases her, saying she's just jealous of Yoon, trying to copy everything she does. The heroine defensively denies it, insisting she'd never be jealous. But the truth is obvious in her face. The next day, she goes to the library hoping to see the main boy, but he's not there. Dong spots her instead and quietly follows her, clearly still smitten. She walks home disappointed, until her mood suddenly lifts. She sees the boy coming out of the library. Excited, she rushes to start a conversation, but he coldly brushes her off. He tells her he's leaving and adds sharply, "Don't follow me. Go study something useful instead." Then he walks away, leaving her frozen in place, staring after him in disbelief. Just then, Yoon arrives and asks what she's doing there. They start talking and walk together. When they mention their favorite songs, they're surprised to find they love the same one they sing and dance together, laughing, and Yoon tells her, "I really like you. Let's be friends." The heroine happily agrees, but after Yoon leaves, guilt hits her hard. She regrets ever hating or envying someone so kind. She decides to be a genuine friend to her from now on. The next day, she tells her friends that she's decided to befriend Yoon. They warn her, saying, "Be careful. She'll steal your spotlight, and she'll take the main boy too." But she doesn't listen. Meanwhile, Yoon sees Kim and gives him a ticket to the school radio show, inviting him to come. She tries to make small talk, but he stays quiet and distant. It's obvious she's starting to like him. Back to the heroine. One day it starts raining, and the main boy offers her his umbrella so she doesn't get wet. After he leaves, she twirls around in joy, holding the umbrella, smiling like she's in a dream. Completely lost in her fantasy, Dong and his friends see her walking around with the umbrella even after the rain stops and joke, she's lost her mind following that guy. That night, Kim runs into an old friend, someone from his criminal past. We learn that Kim once worked with a gang but left to start over. His old friend tries to drag him back, threatening to kidnap his little sister if he refuses. Enraged, Kim attacks him and warns, "If you come near me or my sister again, I'll kill you." The next day, the heroine runs into the same girls who once fought her. One of them accuses her of telling the teacher she smokes cigarettes. The heroine denies it, but they don't believe her. The girls chase her all the way to a river, corner her, and start a fight. Suddenly, she slips and falls into the water. She screams for help, but they laugh, thinking she's pretending. Then she disappears beneath the surface, and they realize she's actually drowning. At that moment, the main boy appears and dives in to save her like a superhero. He pulls her out and performs CPR, and she slowly regains consciousness. Overwhelmed, she hugs him tightly, thrilled that he was the one who rescued her. The next day, she wakes up in the hospital, shocked when her mother tells her it was Dong who saved her, not the main boy. Her mom adds that she's been asleep for an entire day. Horrified, she jumps up and rushes to school, desperate to make it in time for the radio program she was supposed to host. But when she arrives, the event is already over. She breaks down crying, devastated that she missed it. As she's leaving, she spots the main boy talking to Yoon, holding a bouquet of flowers. Furious, she storms off, but Yoon notices and runs after her with the boy. He explains that they were just discussing the radio event and notices her staring at the flowers. Smiling softly, he tells her, "These were actually for you. We were going to visit you at the hospital." She doesn't believe him. Before she can respond, she collapses and is rushed back to the hospital. There, Yoon angrily confronts the boy, accusing him of lying. She knows the flowers were for her, not the heroine. The boy admits it. He had bought the flowers for Yoon to confess his feelings, but lied earlier to protect the heroine's emotions. He says gently, "She's been through enough. I didn't want to hurt her." Then he asks Yoon if she'll be with him. She refuses kindly, saying, "Let's just be friends," and walks away. On her way home, Yoon runs into Kim again. She greets him shyly, smiling as they talk, and it's clear she's completely falling for him. The next day, the heroine wakes up and immediately asks about Dong. The nurse solemnly tells her, "He passed away." She breaks down crying, until suddenly Dong walks in, patting her shoulder. She stares at him in shock. "Wait, aren't you dead?" He points to the next bed, explaining that the patient beside him was the one who died. Relieved, she hugs him tightly, saying she would have been heartbroken if anything had happened to him. Then, as she remembers that he was the one who gave her mouth to mouth, she instantly pulls away, blushing furiously and yelling at him for it. Dong doesn't care. He's too happy she's okay, and finally confesses his feelings for her. She stays cold and distant, ignoring his confession, and walks away. Later, Yoon visits the heroine in the hospital. She hesitantly asks if there's something between her and the main boy, and at that moment, the heroine remembers everything her friends said about Woon and the boy. She began confessing how much she loved the hero and how attached she was to him. The heroine, trying to hide her pain, told her that there was nothing between them, that she neither loved him nor would she ever think about him. She also asked her not to distance herself because of him. After saying goodbye, she left with a heavy heart. At that time, the heroine's brother noticed that Ion was visiting them. Excited, he quickly dressed up, hoping she might finally notice him, though she didn't even glance his way. Later that night, the heroine confronted her father for not visiting her in the hospital. She told him that if it had been her brother who was sick, he would have visited immediately. Her father became furious, slammed the dinner table, and shouted that she should never compare herself to her brother, because to him there was no comparison between a boy and a girl. Angry and cruel, he mocked her appearance, saying, "Why would I visit you? You look like a monkey anyway." His words shattered her. She broke down in tears, clinging to the housemaid who tried to comfort her. But her father kept yelling, refusing to stop. Moments later, the girl who once hated the heroine came to apologize, admitting it was her fault that the heroine had fallen into the river. The heroine coldly told her to stand up. She didn't like seeing anyone beg. Then walked away, left the house, and wandered to a nearby bridge. There, she sat alone, thinking about how cruelly her father treated her and how worthless she felt. The next day at school, she couldn't stop staring at Ion. convinced that Ion had betrayed her and was secretly involved with the hero. Later, she confronted the hero directly, demanding that he tell her the truth so she could finally have peace of mind. The hero hesitated, visibly anxious, and told her that he and Ion were just friends. At that moment, Dong appeared and got into an argument with the hero, accusing him of being the reason the heroine was suffering so much. The hero, annoyed, told Dong to mind his own business and walked away. The heroine scolded Dong for interfering between her and the hero. Dong, however, invited her out, hoping to cheer her up, but she refused and walked off. As she walked away, she remembered the hero's words, that he and Ion were just friends, and couldn't help smiling with relief. She was genuinely happy they weren't in love. Meanwhile, Kim discovered that his little sister was missing from the children's center. He immediately remembered what his old gang member had said and feared that his former partner had kidnapped her to blackmail him into rejoining the gang. Just as he was about to go search for her, he found her with Aeon, who explained that she had only taken her to play. Kim, however, was furious. He scolded his sister harshly for leaving without telling him and snapped at Ion, saying she had scared him unnecessarily. That night, the heroine was walking down the street when she overheard Ion and the hero talking. The hero confessed that he couldn't focus on studying because he kept thinking about her, Ion, and that he was afraid she might fall for someone else. He admitted that he loved her and could never forget her. Ion gently told him that she didn't love him back and didn't want to lose her friend, the heroine, because of him. Dong happened to be passing by and overheard everything. He confronted the hero angrily, telling him to be honest with the heroine instead of letting her live with false hope. The hero told Dong to stay out of things that didn't concern him. They argued heatedly, and in his anger, the hero punched Dong hard. The heroine ran to Dong's side, wiping the blood from his lips as tears filled her eyes. He cried too, the two of them sitting quietly in shared sadness. Later, they had dinner together, and she thanked him for always caring about her and trying to help, even though she often treated him badly. Elsewhere, Kim was feeling guilty about the way he had spoken to Ion. He went to her house to apologize but lost the courage to knock when he saw her. He hesitated outside, rehearsing what to say, and hid before she could notice him. The next morning, the heroine decided to be strong. She wouldn't let the hero see how much she still loved him. She walked into school confidently, head held high. When she spoke to Aeon, she admitted that she had overheard their conversation. She said she knew the hero loved Ion and told her not to feel guilty because she had already decided to move on. In class, she threw herself into studying, determined to become even smarter than Ion, to make the hero regret never loving her. When she returned home, she found out that her brother now had a private tutor to help him with his studies. Curious, she went to check and was shocked to discover that the tutor was Dong. When Dong saw her, he told her brother they'd take a short break, then approached her with a smile. He admitted that he was trying to get closer to her in any way he could, and offered to help her study as well. She turned him down coldly. That night, she dreamed again about the hero and Ion, and when she woke up, she was furious at herself. "No more giving up," she whispered. "I'll move on. Fast." The next day, she went to meet the hero and their classmates for the school radio program. But the moment she saw him, her heart started racing again. So much for moving on. The hero asked to speak with her privately, and she eagerly agreed. He told her he had seen her crying and realized she had overheard him with Ion. Then, with visible guilt, he said he truly loved Ion and asked if they could just stay friends. The heroine forced a smile, pretending it didn't hurt, but inside she was breaking apart. Meanwhile, Ion went to see Kim at the pharmacy where he worked part-time, asking for help because her father was gravely ill. Kim, who knew about medicine from his work there and in maintenance, immediately went with her and provided treatment. Ion's father was sick, and as Kim treated him, she noticed that one of his socks was torn. She giggled softly. Kim smiled and asked why she didn't just take her father to the hospital. She went silent for a moment, and from the look on her face, he realized she didn't want to talk about it. Respecting her privacy, he didn't press for details. Before Kim left, Ion insisted that he drink some juice she'd prepared. They exchanged gentle smiles, and he noticed how worried she looked. He reassured her that he wouldn't tell anyone about her father's condition or the fact that she didn't want to take him to the hospital. Then he said goodbye and walked away. The next day, Ion visited him at the pharmacy to thank him. She happily told him her father was feeling better and handed him a pair of new socks as a gift Kim refused at first. But she left them with him and walked away smiling. At that moment, the girl who hated the heroine saw them together and grew jealous. It turned out she secretly liked Kim, though he had never shown any interest in her. A few days later, Ion came to Kim again, worried. She told him her father hadn't returned home for several days and asked for his help. giving him their old address. Just then, the heroine saw them talking and asked what was going on. Kim told Aeon he'd look into it and left, while the heroine warned Aeon to stay away from Kim. She told her that her father always said Kim was bad news, but Aeon shook her head, saying Kim wasn't like what people thought. He was kind and good-hearted. That night, Kim came home exhausted and frustrated, telling Aeon that he had searched everywhere but couldn't find her father. She broke down, trembling in despair. He gently held her, promising he wouldn't stop searching until he found him. Meanwhile, the heroine stayed late in the library studying. The hero saw her asleep at one of the tables but didn't bother waking her. He simply walked away. Later that night, she was reviewing her notes on the library rooftop when she suddenly noticed the hero standing behind her. He smiled, draped his jacket over her shoulders, and sat down beside her. They began talking quietly under the night sky. Just then, Dong appeared, furious and imagining himself as a ninja ready to attack the hero. But it was all in his head. In reality, he just stood there, frozen, watching them talk with a jealous stare. Moments later, a girl rushed to the rooftop out of breath, telling the heroine that her father was beating her brother nearly to death. Shocked, she ran home immediately. When she arrived, she saw her father striking her brother violently with a stick, yelling that he was useless and didn't study enough. He accused him of giving his study tickets to his sister. Then the father turned to the heroine and shouted at her too, furious that she had taken them. She tried to explain that her brother had offered them willingly, but her father wouldn't listen. He screamed that girls didn't need an education anyway and should be grateful just to be in school. He grabbed her, threatening to beat her the same way. But she stood her ground and said, "I didn't do anything wrong, so you won't hit me." Then she locked herself in her room. A moment later, her mother came in, scolding her and saying that she was always the cause of trouble with her father. The father entered behind her mother, mocking her, saying, "Stop pretending. I know you just wish you could yell at me instead." His words silenced both women. The next day, Dong spoke with the hero, telling him to stop getting close to the heroine because he was giving her false hope. She'd never be able to forget him if he kept showing kindness. The hero coldly told him to mind his own business. Dong said he pitied him, chasing after a girl who didn't even care. But Dong replied firmly that he wouldn't give up. He would keep trying because he truly believed that one day he'd win her heart. The hero smirked, saying he admired Dong's confidence, wished him luck, and walked away. Meanwhile, Kim sent his little sister to Aeon's house, asking her to make sure the child ate something. He watched them secretly from a distance as Aeon cooked. The little girl said she was hungry and refused to eat unless Aeon ate with her. Later, she fell asleep there, so Aeon carried her home that night. Kim thanked her and told her he was still searching for her father. Then he noticed Aeon coughing. He quickly opened a bottle of medicine and handed it to her. "That's the benefit of falling for a pharmacist," the narrator joked. Kim looked at her with gentle eyes, clearly captivated by her beauty. At the same time, the heroine was studying with the hero, who treated her more kindly than before. Dong sat nearby pretending to study, though he was really just keeping an eye on them, unwilling to leave them alone together. The next day, the heroine's mother told her to stay away from Aeon. She explained that everyone at school was gossiping about Aeon and Kim, saying they were secretly in a relationship, and that Aeon's father had been missing for a long time. Worried, the heroine went to Aeon and asked why she hadn't reported her father's disappearance to the police. Aeon, anxious, said she couldn't do that and begged her not to tell anyone at school. The heroine grew suspicious, feeling there was something strange between Aeon and her father. After leaving her, she met with the hero and asked him to have his father, a high-ranking police officer, look into Aeon's missing father. She explained that he had been gone for a long time and that the matter seemed serious. But deep down, she felt guilty. She knew her motives weren't entirely pure. Part of her wanted the hero to uncover Aeon's secret so he would stay away from her. That night, the hero went home planning to ask his father for help, but when he arrived, he found him shouting angrily into the phone. Afraid to interrupt, the hero quietly backed away and decided instead to go to Aeon's house himself. And he's shocked when he sees Kim carrying her unconscious father, who looks extremely weak and ill. He waits outside, looking worried until the heroine sees him and notices his sadness. He tells her he couldn't help Yoon, and she realizes he still cares about her and only wants to help so he can get closer to her again. The next day, the hero talks with one of his friends about Kim, and his friend tells him that Kim used to be a bandit, and that the girl he's raising is actually his daughter, not his sister, as everyone believes. After that, the hero goes to confront Kim, trying to intimidate him by saying he knows the truth, but Kim just laughs and says, "Go study, kid, and stop meddling in things that don't concern you." At that moment, Yoon arrives, and the hero takes her outside to talk. He tells her that Kim is a criminal, but she gets offended and tells him she knows Kim better than anyone else. The next day at school, the teacher punishes some girls for not answering correctly, and Yoon objects, saying that his way of teaching isn't civilized. The teacher dismisses the girls and punishes Yoon by making her run outside in the rain, to scare anyone else from talking back. The heroine then stands up and says she'll run with Yoon and share the punishment. The teacher tells her to stay, praising her improvement and saying he doesn't want to punish her now that she's finally focusing on her studies. But she ignores him and runs with Yoon anyway. After they finish running, Dong is waiting for the heroine with an umbrella. She takes it and goes home, but suddenly remembers Yoon, so she grabs another umbrella and runs to the pharmacy to give it to her. She finds Yoon crying in Kim's arms, seeking comfort. When Yoon notices the heroine, she sees the extra umbrella and realizes it was meant for her. She thanks the heroine sincerely for caring and helping her, but the heroine feels hurt. Her mind filled with all the rumors she's heard about Kim and convinced now that he really is a bad man. Later, the hero waits outside Yoon's house and gets angry when he sees Kim watching them. He tells Yoon, "If you ever need anything, call me," and walks away. The next day, the heroine is full of energy, trying to learn how to properly wrap a bandage. She wants to practice on her brother, but he refuses, and they start arguing. At that moment, Dong comes in, and her brother jokingly calls him over so she can practice on him instead. Dong is kind and happy just to be close to her, even if she's wrapping him up like a mummy. Then the heroine practices on the maid and her mother, wrapping their heads in bandages. When her father comes in and sees them, he's shocked and asks how they got hurt. Then, when he realizes it's just his daughter practicing, he snaps, "What's wrong with you, useless girl?" and storms off in disgust. The next day, the heroine visits Yoon's house and sees how kind her father is, cooking for his daughter and joking with her. She envies her for having such a gentle father, unlike her own, who constantly yells and insults her just for being a girl. But suddenly, Yoon screams. Her father is sick again and vomiting blood. They call Kim, who rushes over and takes him to the hospital. There, the doctor tells them it's tuberculosis, a very serious disease. The hero comes to the hospital to comfort Yoon, staying by her side. Kim gets jealous seeing him there, unable to hide his anger. Later, the hero talks to his aunt, who tells him that his father found out he's been seeing Yoon. She also tells him that Yoon's father is a former criminal with old cases, and warns him that if his father finds out he saw her again, he'll hurt her father. The hero is shocked and upset by what he hears. He leaves and goes to Yoon's house, standing outside quietly. The heroine sees him and says she knows he came for Yoon. As she turns to call her, he grabs her hand and suddenly asks her to go to the cinema with him. She's confused and hurt, realizing he's using her as a distraction while he's thinking about Yoon, but she agrees to go anyway. At the cinema, she spots her father and quickly points him out to the hero, who hurries away before her father can see them. Later, they go to eat together, but suddenly Dong shows up and sits with them, clearly trying to ruin the moment. The hero pretends to be busy and leaves. The heroine follows him, and he tells her that she's a good friend and a nice person, then walks away, leaving her hurt and disappointed. She argues with Dong, telling him to stop interfering in her life. He's heartbroken and says he's done chasing after her like a dog following its owner. The next day, Dong goes to tutor her little brother and tells her that the hero will be traveling with his father. She gets upset and says she still has and she decides to do something about it. She runs to the station, hoping to catch him before he leaves. Dong rushes after her, grabs a bicycle, and takes her along. But even then, they don't make it in time. By the time they arrive, the bus has already left. The heroine collapses in tears, terrified that she might never see him again. A few days later, Dong receives a letter from the hero. Inside, the hero gives him his new phone number and writes, "If you ever need anything, call me." Dong laughs and says, "Need what, man? I'm just glad to finally be done with you." He's about to throw the letter away, but his conscience stops him. That night, the heroine gets the letter instead. She's upset and hurt, realizing that he wrote to Dong, not her. In anger, she almost throws the letter out the window, but at the last moment, she pulls her hand back. The next day, she decides to travel to the city where the hero now lives. She calls the number from the letter, but he doesn't answer. Meanwhile, Dong learns from her mother that she's missing from home and immediately guesses she's gone to find the hero. He calls the hero to warn him. The hero rushes to the station to look for her and finds a group of guys harassing her. He chases them off and scolds her angrily. "So I leave town to get away from you and you follow me all the way here?" She tells him softly that she just wanted to see him, then promises she'll go back home right away. As she starts to leave, he stops her and says she can't go alone. It's too late and dangerous. He takes her to his place, and they have dinner together. She feels overjoyed, thinking this is one of the happiest moments of her life. Sitting beside him, talking and laughing, he tells her that Dong was worried about her and was the one who called to let him know she came to the city. He suggests she call Dong to tell him she's safe. She rolls her eyes and says, "Oh, come on, not now. I'll call him tomorrow." He chuckles and agrees that it's late. He then shows her the room where she'll sleep. That night, she peeks at him through the door crack, wondering why she suddenly feels so empty, even though she's finally near him, just like she wanted. What confuses her more is that she can't stop thinking about Dong, and she regrets not calling to tell him she's safe. Meanwhile, Kim dreams about Yoon. He gives her a ring made of flowers, confesses his love, and imagines running away together to a place where no one knows them. It's clear he's seriously thinking about it. The next day, the heroine goes to the station to head back home. She says goodbye to the hero and gets on the bus, only to be shocked when she sees Dong hiding inside. When he notices her, he sits next to her. She asks why he gave her the hero's number even though he knew she'd go after him. He smiles and says, "Because I saw how hurt you were. I knew you wouldn't rest until you saw him." They both laugh, share some food, and enjoy the ride together. When she returns home, her mother beats her for leaving without telling anyone and for spending the night away. When her father comes in and sees everyone upset, he looks at his son and says sarcastically, "No way. You're too sweet to be the problem, my boy." Then he turns to the heroine and snaps, "What did you do this time, you troublemaker?" She walks away silently. That night, the story returns to Yoon and Kim. He tells her that he's leaving soon and asks her not to come to the pharmacy or try to contact him again. He wants to take her with him but is afraid for her safety. Yoon realizes he's doing this because of people's gossip. She insists she won't abandon him, but he coldly says he will abandon her, claiming he was only playing around and never truly loved her. Then he walks away, leaving her heartbroken. Later, Yoon sees police officers dragging Kim out of his house. She realizes he's been arrested, apparently for searching for her father. Meanwhile, the heroine finds herself thinking about Dong, how he's always been there for her. She goes to meet him and says she's happy to have a friend like him. But Dong, hurt, replies, "Friend? After everything I've done, that's what I am to you? A friend? Life's short." And the fool doesn't even notice. He shoves her away gently, tells her to go home, and walks off. It's the first time he's ever spoken to her so harshly. She throws her umbrella on the ground and storms past him. He calls out, telling her to take it so she doesn't get sick. She snaps back, "You said we're not friends, right? Then don't worry if I get sick or not." Suddenly, he grabs her hand, then hesitates, pulling back nervously, and invites her to lunch to break the tension. As they walk to the restaurant, they hide from the rain, laughing together. But suddenly, she spots her father with their maid, walking into the same restaurant. We then see her father talking to the maid. The maid says she can't go on with him anymore, feeling guilty and asking him to take care of his wife and home, but he says he can't live without her. At that same time, the heroine starts recalling all the strange things that happened at home and realizes she's been blind and deceived all along. She storms home and starts shouting at the maid, pretending it's because she didn't wash the clothes, then throws the laundry at her face to vent her rage. That night, Yoon visits her, crying. She tells her that her father has been arrested and that she's all alone now. She explains that her father was involved in political cases, which is why she never reported him missing. She asks the heroine for a favor, to take care of Kim's little sister for a few days, since he's been arrested too, and there's no one left to look after her. The next day, she goes to visit Kim in prison. He tells her that his sister isn't really his sister. He actually adopted her when she was homeless and had no family. He begs her to keep the girl away from trouble and not let her return to the streets, but she refuses. She says she'll take care of the girl herself until he gets out. As he's leaving, she calls out to him and says, "I'll wait for you." Later, the heroine is walking and runs into the main hero, who says he just got back today and asks her to walk with him for a bit. While they're walking, Dong sees them together, gets jealous, and storms off. She runs after him and explains that it was the hero who asked her to walk, but he doesn't believe her. He walks away, leaving her sad and frustrated. Then we cut back to Yoon, who goes to the police officer and explains that she has no real political connections. The man they're suspecting was only helping her because he loved her. Later, Kim is released from prison, but he argues with Yoon because she begged the officer to let him out. She tearfully confesses that she loves him and would do anything for him. He looks at her deeply moved. The next day, a decision is issued to expel Yoon from school because of her father's legal issues. A teacher tries to stop it but fails. He comes to tell her the news, heartbroken, and suggests she file an appeal, but she refuses. She doesn't want any more trouble and walks away, devastated. Her classmates protest the unfair decision, but she leaves the school sadly, remembering all her memories, especially her friendship with the heroine. Then we return to the heroine. When she gets home, her father is furious and hits her after seeing her walking with the hero. She snaps and tells him to stop pretending to be moral, revealing that she saw him at a restaurant with the maid he brought home just to cheat on her mother. Her words are like a bomb in the house. Her father is stunned, the maid collapses in shame, and her mother's reaction is the strangest. She pulls her daughter into her room and quietly says she's known for a long time, but stayed silent out of fear and to avoid pity from others. The heroine looks at her mother in disbelief, wishing she'd never become like her when she grows up. Later, the maid goes to the heroine's mother, apologizes for everything, and says she'll leave the house. That night, when the mother goes to bed, her husband tries to apologize, but she stays cold and simply says, "Go to sleep. Stop talking." The next day, the heroine learns that the maid really did leave. She's hurt because, despite everything, the maid was the kindest person to her in the house. Then we return to Yoon, who tells Kim again that she loves him and asks him to stay with her. But he refuses, saying he's leaving the city. She walks away crying, and Kim can't stop thinking about her. He chases after her and asks, "Won't you regret loving me?" She replies, "Never. I don't want anything else, just to be with you." He hugs her and confesses, "I love you too." The next day, they pack their things and prepare to move away. They say goodbye to the heroine and leave. After that, the heroine sees the main hero again. She tells him that Yoon has left, but he says he came to see her. Not Yoon. He admits that he missed her, that he's starting to like her, and asks her to be with him. Then he looks at his watch and says he's leaving at 4 p.m., adding, "If you want to be with me, come meet me before I go." She walks away, torn, because she's also supposed to meet Dong at the same time. As the clock ticks closer to 4, both the hero and Dong look at their watches, each waiting for her, especially poor Dong, who's sitting alone in the cinema. Every time he sees a girl walk in, he thinks it might be her. He waits for a long time until he loses hope. He finally goes inside, sits down, pretending to laugh with the crowd, but inside he's crying. When the movie ends and he gets up to leave, he suddenly sees her sitting in the seat ahead of him. She turns and says softly, "I've been here since the movie started." Dong's face lights up with joy. He gives her flowers and asks why she was late. She drifts into thought, and we see a flashback. She had gone to meet the hero and told him, "I love Dong, so I can't be with you." Back in the cinema, she tries to act cool, saying she only came because she didn't want to waste the movie ticket. But Dong sees through her act, gently holds her face, and says, "I love you." She smiles and finally confesses, "I love you too." They run out of the theater together, laughing. And that's how the series ends.